Reen sent this one, and Reen, of course, makes it easy. Why can't you all, Cappy, should I major in nuclear physics or journalism? Nuclear physics. Boom, and good night, everybody. So we might be here a bit. Reen writes, hey, Cappy, this is another one I've been thinking about. Tim Pool actually hits on a lot of these points in this video. First, I've heard this from many people. He talks about Taylor Swift and outright says, now women are all going to want to get married to fit in. I've heard this idea from multiple people. Say this is really the case. I don't know how you can understand this. And I come to the conclusion men must dictate what women do, or people will lead women down bad roads. So what Reed's referring to in the video, which goes to a Tim Pool thing, he's talking about how women are not motivated by logic or math or reason or finances or anything, that they are motivated by socialization, social reasons, namely to be popular and fit in. And the best I ever heard, and that's why I gave credit, and I had to look up his name because I'm like, is it Charlie Taliban, Frankly Hugenstein, Orion Taraban? I just call him Psychex because I do tune into his channel occasionally, and probably on par with what Bill Burr said in terms of women are surrounded by this tornado of misinformation. Nobody corrects them because we want to fuck them. What he said is about as poignant, and that is women. What do women want? Women want what other women want. Mandatory viewing of his video on that, and it was the truth. Women want what other women want. What? It's called popularity. They want to be popular. Why? Because other women want it. I've gone over how popularity as a value system is a self-referential, self-circling, no tangible anchoring in real value, no intrinsic value. But for the most part, of course, they're all different people, doesn't apply universally, but yeah, more or less. And if we want a biological evolutionary explanation, is men were out killing the mammoth, whatever, fighting wars. Women had to deal with each other, and you had to have agreement and consensus and all that. And it's undeniable. Like if you look at any of the fashion fads, there's is it white girl summer where they all got their white straw hats and the white sweaters and the blue jeans and the blue and the brown boots, right? And there's other pictures of it. I mean, it is. It's like watching a National Geographic special. So say this is the case. I don't know how you can understand this and not come to the conclusion men must dictate what women do, or people will lead women down bad roads. And so you're saying because women are motivated by what is popular, we as a society have to guide them or tell them what to like. You know what? That might be right. I just have two problems with it. One, I don't like telling other people what to do. And two, I don't want to manage someone. I think I mentioned this a little bit before in a previous video. Like, people ought to do this and people ought to do that. I'm like, I'm too tired to do it, right? If I got to force people to do this, I got to force. One of the main reasons I never want to have kids. I want their responsibility. And I'm sorry, I am a feminist. Women said they want to be treated as equals. They're going to be treated as equals. No, I'm not your dad. No, I'm not. I'm not your father or your older brother or anyone. You go do whatever you want. You suffer the consequences or reap the benefits if you make the right choices. But just because whatever, there's a proclivity or a genetic or evolutionary predisposition to conform, it doesn't mean women can't support themselves. Doesn't mean without the right, yes, they need fathers, right? But after a while, really? You gotta tell a 25-year-old male or female what you really should brush your teeth. What the fuck? No. I let the real world do the punishing and the raising and the checking for me. It's I've never understood why anyone would be a dictator. Like, man, you got to control all those, like Xi Jinping, like that. I do not envy that job, man. That does not sound fun, trying to get Chinese people to do what you think they ought to do. So when it comes to the conclusion, men must dictate to women. No, fathers must dictate to their daughters and their sons as well. Right? People were more responsible, say 60 years ago, men and women included. Be careful what you wish. What do you really want to tell women what to do? Oh, man. Oh, you spent way too much money and now you're poor? Oh, that's too bad for you. You're hungry? Oh, maybe you'll learn. Uh, but I will agree with this, with no consequences and bailouts and the welfare state and a cult of you go girlism and just, a worship almost. People have taken advantage of women. They led them down very bad roads. The colleges and universities, they've crippled what about 3 generations of women now with worthless degrees and horrible student loan debt. I mean, it happened to men too, but not as much. Um, One might speculate whether women would be happier with kids or not, but they're pretty fucking miserable now. Their finances are bad. Their health is bad. Corporations got a lot of cheap labor. They even paid these women to freeze their eggs because they wanted their labor, while women sacrificed their fertility and potential to have children, or really severely risked it. Um, Women also make great taxpayers. They vote in generally, again, of course. Yeah, people have taken advantage of women. They absolutely have. I'd even say some political entities, notably feminism, is turn women against men and forget the dynamics of love and sex and romance and family, just dividing and conquering, or just dividing two groups of people and pitting them against each other. That does nothing well for either group of people in terms of their relations and mental health and enjoyment in life. Women have, oh, and then, yeah, corporate, like, of course, corporations sell men sports cars and they sell you girls handbags and girl boss and money and travel and not 401k or retirement planning. Yeah, people have definitely taken advantage of women, effectively kind of turning them into slaves in some regards. Is that our responsibility? Is that why? And so sucks to be them, I guess. Hey, I got a great track record. I could point to it. I told women to major in, I told all you to major in engineering, accounting, stop majoring in dumb stuff, save your money, right? I am the good guy. Took about 20 fucking years of being called istinisms and being compared to a guy with a funny mustache. But oh my God, the guy who told us to eat our broccoli and brush our teeth was the good guy all along. This guy who had us say, do heroin and eat chocolate all the time, he was the bad guy. Oh my God, who knew? Mr. Fun Guy was the bad guy. Seconds, he mentions he doesn't believe the stats, and women do want kids, but they do value being popular over their own happiness, which sounds pretty miserable to me. 100% correct. You nailed it. He said that. He says, I don't believe it. I believe they're lying. And go watch a video where there's the Cardinals about me talking about how that's the biggest lie women tell themselves and us and all of society. We don't want you. We don't need you. We're going to be a girl boss. I don't need no. And then Poole slipped into he fell for the trap. I guess we'll call it the great big lie trap, that somehow it's our responsibility to say, well, they're just lying. No, no, I don't have time for that, man. Right? Dude, you're either telling the truth or you're not. You're either an adult or you're not. You're either telling people what you want or not. And if you're gonna bluff or whatever, do it for a power trip. Like, I don't need no, look out. And you're gonna celebrate your own self looking in a mirror. And you're going to lie to the population, half the population, about what you want, how we're going to interact. That's going to set down the foundation and the tone of how we're going to interact going forward. I don't want to hear it. We were just kidding. It was a joke. And go watch that video, the one with the Cardinals. There's a red male cardinal, and there's a gray female cardinal. And then there's the other little red male cardinal buddy in the back saying, hey, bro, let's go shoot guns. It's a brilliant video, but it doesn't have a flashy thumbnail, so it's not getting a lot of traffic. But he fell for it. It's our responsibility to read women's minds and tell when they're lying. No, no, if it comes to that point, then the human race doesn't deserve to continue on. If I got to suss out whether you're lying about what you truly want, and I think someone even mentioned it, guys don't care what the answer is as long as it's truthful. Ladies, if you don't like us, most guys will be like, okay, fine. You don't want to have kids. You don't want to get married, or we're horrible people, or whatever. Okay, fine. We'll leave you alone. You say, no, we really like you. And then, oh, okay, cool. Do you want to go out? But if you're lying either one way or the other, well, I was just joking. And you gotta because I want to be popular. And the current girls are saying the current popular thing is say you don't need no man. That's not our problem. It's not our responsibility. And frankly, it pisses me off. I don't like it when people lie to me. I mean, how, in an ironic sense, how anti-feminist is that, right? Anti-independent woman. You're such a child. I got to second guess what do you really want Brussels sprouts, Becky? It's tiring. This topic, I don't mind discussing because it's important, right? And all that, but I don't know. The world's got vision. I've got vision. The rest of the world wears bifocals. Is that it's just like can you at least get 80% up to where I am? I drew you the map. I just want you 80% to where you'll never catch up, but can you get to where I was 8 years ago? Second, he mentions he doesn't believe the stats and women do want kids, but they do value being popular over their own happiness, which sounds pretty miserable to me. Right. It probably is miserable. But what do they want more? See, this is I should write that book called Decisions. It doesn't matter what deep down inside they want. They chose consciously, in this particular case, popularity over children. You speculate it makes them happy. I bring up the philosophical point. No, I don't know if that necessarily is happiness that they're giving up. I think they actually thought, whether they were propagandized or not, however they got to this decision, that they would be happier being a girl boss, that they would be happier being popular, right? They made an economic choice, right? Do I want an apple or do I want an orange? I'm in a citrusy mood today. I think I'm going to go for the orange, right? No matter without the second guessing and deep down inside, the fact is I made a choice because I believe the orange would make me happier. Or if you want to be economic about it, provide me more utility, more utils. That was a fun unit of measurement back then. So I don't give a shit if they're happy or not, or deep down inside that all that matters. All that matters is that they're making the choice that they are making. And most of them are choosing to be popular. Most of them are choosing to want what other women want and other women told them to want. And all the analysis and the second guessing and the speculation about what women do, it's irrelevant. It's not our job. And I wish men, for eons, you guys have been torturing yourselves over this. Let it go. Walk away. Don't care. And if you are going to have a woman, in this particular case, into your life, she better be empirical. She better be a mature adult. They do value being popular over their own happiness. They choose to be popular over their own happiness, which sounds pretty miserable to me. Yes, and I think they are miserable because genetically, I think at some level they want to have it all, right? They want to have it all. So there's always going to be the second best option foregone. There will be opportunity costs, and they will lament and rue the opportunity costs. And it doesn't surprise me that they're on antidepressants, but it doesn't matter. They chose with what they wanted to choose. And it's a sunk cost fallacy. They made the choice. But you've covered this before, and I think we have more and more proof it's true. I'm curious. Proof it's true that women they value popularity more over having children, quote unquote, being happy. Yes, it is true because that's what they're choosing. Now, I'm going to get to maybe how their choices might have been influenced, but this is not a debate anymore. This isn't a discussion. Women have made up their mind. End of discussion. They have chosen popularity or current thing over having children. And I think it's a fool's errand to speculate. Well, deep down, no. Well, then they should have said that. Well, don't you want to get married and have? Well, not. I don't want to get married and have kids. But society won't go on. Yep, yeah. Society won't go on. Yeah. Oh, there'd be a population clap. Oh, yeah. But I don't know if you saw the first part where they made the decision. This is like dropping the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Or just pick one, Nagasaki, right? The bomb blew up. Like, oh my God, the bomb blew up. Like, well, yeah. It's kind of out of the bag now. We can't undo that. Women chose popularity for, let's just say, the past 4 generations, if you want to define it as that. And they did not choose children. Some chose both, and they prioritize popularity over children. That's what daycare is called. But the choice was made, right? And it is not men's responsibility or obligation to now go back. Is that really what you wanted? Oh, come on. No, no. It's let, for once, can you just let the market do its thing and give people what they asked for? I'm not talking to you, Rena. I'm just like, let him have it. Let him be alone. Let him just let it. Things will work out on its own, but I'm not wasting any of my time, and half the population, meaning men, shouldn't waste half of their time. Oh my God. They're choosing popularity over birth. What do we do? Nothing. That's their choice. Maybe make some arguments. Maybe you try to provide here, there is an alternative to this. Maybe try to counter the message that feminism says every young girl. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't want to do that. That's not the life I want to live. Haggling with, forget having a wife that you got to argue with, haggling with an entire society of women about what they want. Dude, I'll go to hell. Hell's got to be better than that. You've covered this before, and I think we have more and more proof it's true. It is true, generally speaking, for most women. The polling data says it. The polling data in the book of Numbers that I wrote says it. This most recent poll says it. Women's action, it's true. Not for all, but for most. I'm mostly curious about this, as if this is such a powerful force, maybe feminism and TV shows like Sex and the City did have more impact than the biological aspect. Outstanding observation, Reem. Lastly, what are your thoughts on Tim's reaction to popular? Okay, so let's address this, because now we're going to go into I pull up my notes here. You're right to bring in the nature versus nurture. Okay. But and so what you're proposing, Reen, and I guess what also Tim Pool is proposing, is that nature or biology, women deep down inside want to have kids. However, along came the nurture or the environment or the propaganda side of things. And we nurtured or propagandized women into not wanting to have kids and to be popular instead. I will disagree with that theory in some parts. I would say women's, based on a bunch of other data that I've looked at, one in the book of Numbers, which, by the way, right here's a copy. You can get it. Better Bachelor Edition. You don't have to get the Better Bachelor Edition. That book, helping Myron not write, but research his book, Women Deserve Less, or Why Women Deserve Less, because I had a bunch of the data before. We got more new data. Specifically, if you look at the percentage of men who procreated versus women, and it depends on the epoch and the era, but 40% men, 80% women. Divorce filings, who files, the fact women plain don't ask out men, all the online dating data, whether it's the 80-20 poll that they took, or if you look at, I believe it's Tinder analytics, where they show how many men swipe versus women, right? I'll say it again. Women never liked men that much to begin with in the first place, if I haven't said it before. And the Industrial Revolution, which allowed for white-collar work so women could work and support themselves, not to mention the welfare. So, okay, let's be very economically accurate. The Industrial Revolution allowed for white-collar work, which allowed women to support themselves. They did not need men anymore. The welfare state provided an added insurance policy on top of that, that even if women failed in supporting themselves, predominantly through white collar, there's some female tradesmen, of course, but the welfare state provided an insurance backup so women really don't need men. And now it is a choice. So since 1965, since the welfare state, which is the insurance policy, and probably, depends on when white collar work and it became socially acceptable for women to become white collar workers. And that's more of the 60s and 70s, right? Now women don't need a man. This is the first time in human history women haven't needed a man. What is their choice that they make? Their choice is, I'm going to go be a girl. Their choices are on the chart that Tim Pool is citing that came out. There were your choices. The choices are also in this book with Pew data and research that was maybe 2 years old. They keep telling you guys, y'all don't listen. You say, well, maybe they're not really happy. It doesn't matter if they're happy or not. They chose. That's what they want. And I would argue, we haven't even gotten into the popularity of the propaganda thing. I would, you can really see it when divorce became no fault divorce kicked in. There it was. They were free. There was no consequences. Do women choose voluntarily to be with men or not? No, they don't. How many women have asked you out on a date? How many women even drop the handkerchief? How many women make it very abundantly clear? It's rare, exceptionally rare. We haven't even gotten into feminist propaganda. The data is so conclusive. Women they don't hate you. They just don't like you that much. Okay. So when they all of a sudden were liberated, primarily by white collar work, guaranteed by welfare state and socially acceptable that you go and work. You've had how many you've had like decisions? What, 50 years, right? Oh, 60 years from the 60s on, wherever you want to buy. Over half a century. Can we agree? You have over half a century of data of women making choices in their careers and their education and family and all that. What have they chosen? They have chosen generally to abandon the family. Most of them want to do both, but generally they have prioritized definitely their career, themselves, and everything else over men and children and family. You throw in divorce, it shows you how little most people care. In fact, most women file for divorce. That's not to say you were wrong if there was actual abuse going on. I don't know how much more data you need before we even introduce the nurture side, the propaganda side. We're still talking biology. Now, factor in feminism, factor in corporatism. We need you girls to girl boss, and you got to be like Elizabeth Holmes and make your money and buy this, and get a handbag and go into debt and vote Democrat and sign all way and get a brand new SUV and travel and credit card debt and become a slave. That propaganda also has pushed women more than their biology already had them at to want men and children less. That would be my proposal. So to encapsulate the two statements or the two positions, Tim Pool believes, and maybe you're with him based on what you wrote, Reen. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You guys believe deep down inside, biologically, women want to have kids and husbands more than anything else. All right. And that they are lying. And that is their nature. But you're saying the nurture, the propaganda from, let's just say, feminists, though there were other institutions that were very involved in or interested in having women get forfeit children, family, and all that. That propaganda was stronger than their biological programming. And thus this incongruency where women were brainwashed, I guess if you're saying that, to choose something that ultimately didn't make them happy, that they're lying. The data I've found based on genetics, reproduction, dating data, what else? There was a very simple study a guy did where men and women propositioned the opposite sex. Men propositioning women, women propositioning men. Of course, nowadays you get arrested. I think this took place in the 70s. No woman said yes, and pretty much every guy said yes. I disagree on your nature assertion that the number one thing that makes women happy is children and men. I disagree with that. They're not that interested. Otherwise, their behavior of the past half a century plus would have been different. And so already, now that they're free to do this, I believe those figures are more accurate. Okay. I also believe you add on the social conditioning, the propaganda, the feminism, the go become a girl boss, all that other corporatism. Oh, isn't it great to travel and influence, whatever. That just pushed the needle a little bit more into I really want a career. Now I want a master's degree, a PhD, a bachelor's won't do. Now I really want to travel. Um, so that and that then corroborates what Dr. Taraban, not Taliban, Taraban said, women want what other women want. And that's where you, me, and Tim all agree. Yes, they do want popularity. Nowadays, they do want popularity. They're obviously choosing for it. We just disagree on how we got here. You guys think they're overriding their nature. I say it's their nature and their nurture that has come to them to choose popularity over family and children, husband and loving kids. Not to say they don't want it, right? They want it all, but if they got to choose, it is in their nature and it has been their nurture to choose popularity over family, simplifying a lot of things in that statement. Now, lastly, what are your thoughts on Tim's reaction to the population collapse? As he says in the video, everyone I watch is calling it the end of the... No, it's not. Okay. Go watch my video, why shrinking populations don't matter. Economically, I understand where this could be a huge issue as well as the social aspects. Okay. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to very abbreviated version of my video. Declining populations or shrinking populations don't matter. As long as you don't have a welfare state, specifically a social pension program, we call our social pension program Social Security. Europeans and other Western nations that are stupid enough to have such a program call it something else. I think, is it superannuation in Australia? It's something different. But the point is you have younger people paying for the older people's retirement. Okay? If you get rid of that, then shrinking populations don't matter. It really doesn't. As long as you don't rely on younger generations to be taxed and turned in, as long as you don't rely on younger generations to be the slaves for older generations, it doesn't matter if your population shrinks. You know what happens when your population shrinks? Traffic goes down, right? Prices for assets go down because there are fewer people to buy them, but you won't even be paying for them. You know why? Because your mom and dad have a kid, all right? And their brothers and sisters, which is the kids' aunts and uncles, don't. Well, then that kid inherits 3 fucking houses. Oh no, 3 houses. Oh no, there's no traffic, there's no lines. The only real economic cost to a shrinking population, if you didn't enslave your young people, would be that the infrastructure you'd have to spend a little bit more per capita on maintaining an infrastructure that was obviously built for a larger population. Or you could shut down some of that infrastructure like they do in Detroit. And it's not a drawback. It's not a bad thing. But they're going to make it sound like it's the end of the world. Corporate profits will go down. There's less people buying stuff there, so profits are going to shrink. And corpo bros and corporations are just too fucking blind to think, oh, we got to grow all the time at the expense of everything. Quick, put sawdust in the food. We're private equity. Yes, it's PF Chang's. It's Panera. It's TGI Fridays. Here's your sawdust. You'll hear howls and screams. Oh, well, the stock price goes down. I told you asset prices were going down. So everything gets cheaper. There's more housing. Everyone on a per capita basis inherits the wealth of a larger generation, so they're wealthier. And really, that's it. You're wealthier. You might have to spend a little bit more on the roads on a per capita basis, and the traffic has gone down. Ah! And it's not the end of humanity. There's still going to be people that fuck, right? I mean, have you been to a trailer park in Wyoming? Have you been to Section 8 housing? Have you been to some third world countries where I don't know why we're poor. We just had 8 kids. I don't know why our GDP per capita is so low. Hang on, let me spit out my 9th kid. We're poor. I'm not, dude, this is squarely a Western world, first world problem. Okay? People not fucking. People not having kids. But the rest of the world isn't there. And there's plenty of people within the Western world that still have kids. It's not about replacement rate. It's not enough to pay my Social Security check. That's what it is. That's why the Democrats are freaking about it, and then Republicans, I don't know why they freak out about it. I'm like, "Well, why don't you just end Social Security, phase it out, and you don't have to worry about it." Population goes like this, oh, well. I don't think Tim Pool said that. It's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the human race. Don't worry, there'll be plenty more humans having sex. Right? Just it won't be the girl bosses. It won't be the feminists. It won't because we got wealthy enough that women didn't you could do white collar work, have the welfare state. They made enough money. They don't need a man. And like, well, consequences of having a man, the guy tends to want to have sex. You know what the consequence of sex is kids. Well, women didn't want men or kids all that much, nature or nurture. Now they're not going to have children, but some women do want to have kids. Right? You see her, Rachel Wilson's got kids. I think Pearl will probably have some kids. Real Femme Sapien has kids. I know plenty of women who have kids. If you could believe it, some of them are white too. Whoa! But it's not the collapse of the world. Not not the end of society. Well, maybe this society it might be. Maybe this culture it might be, but it's not the end of the world. Don't worry. I'm not worried about people not fucking anymore. I don't know. Some people might want to worry about starting to fuck. Maybe you might want to have some sex before you die. I won't say which group of people that's pointed towards. You know, I it's absurd. It's so stupid. With like fifth grade logic, you can figure this shit out. Like, wait, so the population goes down by 40%. Doesn't that just basically mean 40% more stuff for the kids who were there? Like, yeah. Does that mean 40% less traffic? Yeah. Oh, but we won't. The boomers won't get theirs, or the Gen Xers won't get their Social Security. Oh, nosies. And that the idea that the human race is going to end? No. Look, when all you assholes die, and I mean most of you delusional, warped, fucked up Westerners, leftist, Democrat, socialist, parasite, materialist, consumerist, girl boss dude. But once this bout of diarrhea is passed through the human history race digestive tract, a new set of humans will replace you, and they're going to be nowhere near as fucked up or as miserable as you. And they will continue on the human legacy. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about. Reen, are you gonna have kids? Right. That's the only. Are you gonna have kids? Well, then maybe you worry a little bit about the future, but I'm not worried about there not being no humans. But so let me social aspects. The poll from NBC you covered yesterday on men and women. For this, I more or less say pivot to covering the ideas Tim is expressing, as he's kind of a normie to a degree on this topic still. Yeah, I think he believes that women are lying, and that somehow now it's men's responsibility to like, hey, you're lying. No. Tim is expressing as he's kind of a normie to a degree of the topic. So mainly I'd say dig into the ideas he's expressing versus the data, since he did a video on that already. Yeah, no joke, you want to see this, the Book of Numbers, and then go with Myron's book, Why Women Deserve Less, which has basically the same numbers, just updated and more of them. Yeah, here, read this. You read this book. Read this book. Please don't do, oh, I don't trust your sources. Well, then fuck off. Enjoy your divorce. Read that book. Assume I had the intellectual honesty to go get as best data as I could. And you tell me with a straight face that women deep down inside really want to get married and have children all this time. I don't know if it necessarily had a position, but I believe them now and say, I don't need no man. Because yeah, I kind of see it in the genetic track record. Yeah, I see it in your behaviors in action. And since you said that, that's all I can go on. Whether you go home and cry yourself to sleep, but I really wanted him. That is not my problem. It's not my problem. You know what's funny is that women got a limit on how long they can have kids. So like they're just like, but I really wanted kids. I really want. It's too bad. There's this thing called menopause. But, you knew so much. You were so smart when you were 25 and knew everything. Oh no, I can have kids anytime. I'm a guy. Yeah, we're the other half of the population. You may have heard of us. Yeah, we're the ones oppressing you. Yes, yes. Yes, we created menopause just to oppress you. Yep, it's not nature, it's men. And lastly, the usual freak out about the population collapse. I just see it everywhere. Although I don't see conservatives touch on the fact 28% of Gen Z were prematurely not getting past the goalie, if you know what we're saying, at clinics. Anyway, since you already did the data, maybe just focus on his ideas about it. Yeah, the data. I, I mean, I like Tim Pool, but I'm right and he's wrong. Or I would say he's wrong and hasn't factored in all the things. I'm not calling him ignorant. He probably hasn't read that book. Don't know why he hasn't. I think he's had Pearl on and Rachel on, and they've even plugged me. God bless their souls. Let's go to the super chats. Green, $5. Had to give you an easy one. Easy one. After the other hard one you tried but couldn't do. No worries, pretty crazy. What happened, Charlie Kirk, though? Tragic. Yeah, if someone wants me to pay me about it, I just don't want to talk about it. Democrats are evil. They're assholes. They've raised a bunch of violent criminal psychopathic they have the Twin Cities thing, the shooting there, and then this, and then Trump and the guy with the knife and the gal from Ukraine. I mean, it's all the consequence of the generation that Democrat policies raised. You've raised criminals, psychopaths, and murderers. That's basically all I got to say. Now, could be the guy who shot him was not. It is possible. There's always like a crazy person out there, but I'm just going to assume not. Cyberbully, $5. You may want to look into mimetic theory. It touches on this a bit. People want things because they see their people want those things. Yeah, no, it can happen, dude. Guys aren't immune to it. Women are just more susceptible to it, right? Remember when guys would get mullets, or guys all wanted the same sports car, like a Hellcat, right? That I want a boat, bro. That's why I hate dude bros. They're so fucking conformist. There's not an ounce of intelligence there. Yes, that happens too. But women even more so, to the point, the polls show that, well, no, I do want to have kids when I'm older. I do want these things. Girl, I don't know how much clearer women can make it to you with their words and actions. I don't know how many times they got to make it clear to you with their words and actions. And I don't know if you guys realized it, but a lot of their choices are finalized, like dropping the bomb, right? They can't go back and undo that because now they're old. They had their shot. They pissed it away. They can't have kids. They're old. Most guys aren't going to be attracted to them. And they're sure the fuck not going to settle for some 62-year-old that will take them. Ass bucket, $2. Does being common intersect with being popular? Yes and no, depending on the use of the word popular. Like in school, if you were the popular kids, you were what, the top 10%? But all the commoners, everyone trying to want to be like them. So everyone still wore the same shoes or the same shirt or the same hat or whatever it was. But then I would say outside of a school setting, popular, it's you still want what the rich kids have. You still want what the popular people have. So everybody now goes to get the McMansion. Everybody now, I'm going to go get 50-yard seats. I'm going to get that jersey. I'm going to, because once you get out of school and you start making money, it isn't just the popular kids who could afford the popular things. A lot of times popular kids, their parents weren't all that rich to begin with, and they do drugs and they blow up. But my point is, it's instilled in high school. Oh, you want that thing, huh? Isn't that the cool thing you want? Oh, I want thing. And then they all work their asses off to go get popular thing. So yes, after a while, I like the popular kids, top 10%. In terms of what popularity, actually, it'd be better to describe that in the Bell distribution of kids in school. The popular people are the plus and minus 5% of the center. Those are the ones because they're the most conformist, the most popular. They define it for the rest of the kids. They're not abnormal. That would be your goths and your freaks, and then your nerds and your squares and whatever, your music and theater kids. They would be on the fringes. When you get older, I'd say that expands because you can use debt to get popular thing, and you all go to college, and you live life, money will follow, and so then it just does not only is it popular, it's also common. It's very common. Dior's 223, nice. Crying shame, what happened to Charlie Kirk? It is. I never knew much about the guy, but I guess people are saying he's not even that, he's kinda, he's right, but he's not this radical right guy. It's like, why did Dennis Prager get kicked off of YouTube? It's like, it's Dennis Prager. Prager? Ass Bucket, $5, 2000 rom-com chick flick, What Women Want, starring the Mel Gibson. Still couldn't figure out what women really want. No, and that's why Orion Taliban, Orion Taraban, what he said was incredibly profound. They want what other women want. What do women want? What society tells them want. Who is society? Corporations, Democrats, teachers, and the media. You want to vote for foreigners to come in and take away your men. Oh, they're horrible men. You should destroy their world by destroying this country. Here, buy a handbag. Oh, you need to travel. You need a master's degree. Go into $200,000 in debt to Middlebury and enrich all of our professors. Now you're smart. You know what you need to do now? Now you need to become a girl boss. You can't be a girl boss unless you work 60 hours a week and commute 2 hours a day and pay 45% in tax, but you care about the community. Yeah, you're a girl boss. Just a slave. They are women want what other women want, and women are told essentially to be the slaves to various institutions within at least the United States. Bull Muscle, $5, gave my extra mangoes to a cute girl behind the pokey counter. Would you just pick up mangoes? Got free heat trimming and free poke. Hey, look at you. Oh, man. See, Bull Muscle's in Hawaii. Dude, the Poke Bowl's got to be amazing out there. Hiking Aia Ridge behind the Kiau Friday. He gives me the finger. Fuck you, too. I'll post my pictures on Instagrams of me hiking. I will be hiking Friday as well. Uber Noob, $5. I think millennial women are the first to actually choose career. Boomers and Gen X got kid. No, okay. Just because you choose career does not preclude you from having kids. They all wanted both. Remember the lies and the propaganda? Oprah and the boomers told themselves you can have it all. No, you can't. You need like a 38-hour day to do that. No, boomers definitely chose themselves. Boomers chose their kids. Where have you been? Gen X chose themselves. Millennials chose themselves. Millennials are the first to actually choose career. No. If you look at labor force participation, it's starting to taper off for women a little bit. Now, yes, they choose. They're not the first. Yes, obviously they chose themselves in their career and politics. And well, the poll lists it right there. Gen Z is merely following in their footsteps. I think men's priorities may have changed between the generations, but I'm not aware of that data. But no, this is just boomer version. This is boomer 4.0 for these gals. And as I said before, I think some Gen Z women, younger women, are starting to buck this system. I think they're seeing how go look it up. Gen Z girls are starting to realize how miserable their feminist mothers are. I think a lot of them are looking and saying, no, I don't want to become that. It's not the majority. Obviously, that poll indicates that, but it was Harris voters. But then the Trump voters who were female were basically the same. I think it's going to plateau. It's not going to go down any further. Uber Noob, $5. The real question, in my opinion, is whether future women will choose between evidence their ideas don't work, millennials, or evidence that their ideas don't work, millennials, or delusion that they can make it work. The real question that you know whose problem that is? You know whose question that is? That's their problem. That's their question. I don't care anymore. Dude, perhaps I didn't explain, dude, I got basically 3 decades of trying to explain economics and finance and reality to different people, whether it was my friends and colleagues, like you can't run deficits like this, or bankers, like you can't loan money out like this, or people like, look, you can't have a welfare state because it just enables a parasitic class. And I'm done. Or women, hey, maybe you should major in engineering and STEM and actually close the wage gap, and maybe you might want to fall in love. I'm done. I'm done. The real question is not my question to answer. And I don't care whether they wake up and figure out or they want to continue on with the delusion. I will sit here with my big bucket of popcorn because I'm going to bet they're going to go down with the delusion. I don't think it's going to get any worse, but they're not going to. Hey, wait a sec. You know what? Let me pull this earring out and get my earring out of my nose and scrub off those tattoos. Now I'm going to lose weight. And now I'm going to dedicate my life to a man. It's not going to happen. Reen, $5. Yeah, I'm usually fighting between my logic and my Christian values. I get rid of your Christian values. Like you live your Christian values. Don't worry about the rest of society, right? Always an inner struggle. Got you on one shoulder, conservatives on the others. Well, aren't I kind of conservative? Admittedly, I'm libertarian, but I'm an empiricist. Ross the Skunk, $5. War is a great way to remove resource drains. War is a resource drain, but yeah, war solves some problems. It does. Dre, $2. Ted Bundy was quite the ladies' man, yet he had a huge female fan base despite his killer moves. Yeah, killer moves. Wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Reen, $5. Yeah, I'd have kids still looking for a nice, kind, thin woman. Not an easy task, as you can guess. Remember my Christian single event story? Oh, I know. They're great. They're on my channel. You're going to have to go away. Read, it's going to be an away game. It's going to have to be an away game. You're just going to have to find traditional old school or maybe Mennonite or Amish adjacent or what the hell's Utah? Mormon? Daddy and a Caddy, $2, $1 million secret. Pretty women are the biggest wingmen. Oh, okay. Luis Salinas, $2. What do you got? Is that a Lamborghini? Why people aren't direct and always want sub? I think cowardice. I think they're afraid of hurting people's feelings. That's what I think it is. They don't want to hurt your feelings. That's it. A girl will never tell you what's wrong. You'll never tell a woman to lose weight. Minnesotans will never tell welfare parasites to knock it the fuck off. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh no, here's some more money. Okay, I'm sorry. Hell, Minnesotans don't even want to like arrest people that are actively committing crimes against them. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to be me. You're 762. I want to be an Alaska ice road trucker, not because I want to freeze my ass off, but because I'm tired of being poor. My parents are well. Hell with you. Did your parents give you money? Are your parents giving you a job? Go be an ice road trucker. Also, Dior's, look up. I think I have jobs. Look up my channel. Jobs that don't require a college degree. Before you do an ice road trucker, I'd look into the railroads. Pretty good pay, and you're not stuck up there in the cold. Bull muscle, $2. Got mango, chico, calamansi, and more at my place. You write a book called Mango Game. Dre, $2. Gappy's too short to believe in a higher power. Yeah. All right, there you guys go. Link below the book of numbers. Check out Psych Hacks. That's Dr. Not Charlie Taliban, Orion Taraban. If you got questions for me, you can go to assholeconsulting.com. I'll see you guys later, Toodles.